Welcome to Fast Break Bets for May 3rd. How is everyone doing? My name is Eric. I'm from eTalk 2 on Sports and pinch hitting for Gino. We have Bryce from the I Need It Sports Pod. Bryce, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing pretty good. What's up, Eric? What's up, everybody? Happy to, fill in for Gino.
Oh, dude, as soon as Gino said to get a replacement, a pinch hitter, you were the first one that I reached out to. I'm so glad that you were able to do it. We really haven't had a chance to talk that much hoops. Obviously, some big news broke today. A Wojo bomb. Ham is out in LA. What was your first reaction when you heard that news?
I'm glad it finally happened. Two things. It actually was just another bomb. They actually just said they fired the whole assistant coaching staff as well, so they're
Oh, wow.
cleaning the house completely. But I was actually talking to my aunt during Game 5, and I was just like, as soon as the Nuggets went on their third quarter run, as they do every game, and Ham sits there with his hands in his pockets, I'm like, honestly, if the Lakers somehow found a way to magically win the NBA Finals, I think it would still be a good argument to be made that you should still fire him. Like I don't know what he's doing over there on the sidelines, and then half the time they show him drawing up plays, it's just scribble on the clipboard. I'm like, what are you doing exactly? Like, come on, you're a professional basketball coach.
Um, how can I word this? I think he had to go. And Gino and I always get into this on this show. I am not a D'Lo guy. And I really feel that there's a certain ceiling they can get to with D'Lo. I mean, that's it with me. I just don't feel like D'Lo as the one they can do that much because he's so limited defensively. I don't think he has a good basketball IQ. But I agree with you. When you look at Hams after timeout plays, I don't want to use the term putrid, but they were putrid. Very elementary with it. He's not. I would say when I look at like the best coaches, Tyronn Lue, Eric Spoelstra, those guys, if those guys had AD and LeBron, just think how good that team would have been.
They,
You know what I mean?
they
I
would have
agree.
finished the games. Like you blow two. I mean, the Lakers were up double digits every single game, and they blew four of them. You can't let that happen.
They were up in every game.
Yeah.
I mean, the bet. Someone was saying like you'd be up if you would just simply roll over a team to be down by 10 and the other team to win. You would have made like what I think it was like 10 grand just rolling over in that series. Some rumors are going on that they're going to make a push for Tyronn Lue. Now the Clippers are coming out saying they're talking extension. I don't know if Tyronn Lue goes, but an interesting name is JJ Redick. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. JJ starts the pod with LeBron. Now he's a candidate for a coach with no coaching experience. What do you think of that? Do you think JJ would be a good coach?
Yes, actually. So the episode hasn't dropped, but we actually recorded a pod the other night where we were reacting to all the game clinching games between OKC, Denver, and Phoenix, and all them or LA. But I was saying like Ham needs to be fired, and I'm not gonna lie because I hear the Tyronn Lue rumors, but I really don't think the Clippers are gonna let him go. I was like, if you want to just shake something up, you're getting a basketball savant, a guy who studies the game. Call JJ Redick, get him on the coaching staff. And I was like, I didn't know it at the time. I was like, make an offer. I don't think he'll accept it right now, but call Rondo, see if he wants to be an assistant coach. Put some basketball geniuses next to LeBron. And LeBron has talked so highly of Rondo's basketball IQ ever since, he teamed up with him back in 2020. And then funny enough, I was watching Marquise or Jeff Teague's podcast, Club 520, yesterday, and they had Rondo on as a guest. Rondo said he's not looking to be in coaching until he graduates because he's back in school now, and he'll graduate next May in 2025. So that's probably not going to happen. But yeah, I would go get JJ. I would go get a lot of former players who have good basketball IQ, good rapport with LeBron. Put them in there. It's like the coaching pool needs to be expanded. Like a lot of these guys, the older guys, like, hey, they're a good coach throughout history. Like the game has changed. JJ Redick is only a couple years removed. Obviously, he has the podcast with LeBron. He's on, the ESPN sports shows now. I think it would be good for the Lakers. I think it would change some things up. And The only thing I'd be worried about is the dynamic between them, because obviously it wouldn't be the dynamic of the podcast, but JJ is younger than LeBron, and he would be coaching. That would just be something funny to witness. But I think it would be a good move.
I think that's an interesting point you brought up, the dynamic. It's one thing to be a friend with somebody and work with somebody, but then when one guy is a superior, are you going to have that respect? That's obviously why Grant Williams is no longer with Boston. Him and Joe I can't even say his name. Mazzulla were really tight. They took vacations together. And then I guess there was a tough dynamic with him just because he couldn't accept taking criticism from him. Also, my Bucks, oh God, they lost last night, eliminated from the Pacers. What are your initial reactions like from that game and that series, so to speak?
Well, when you have two role players off the bench have their career highs in Toppin and McConnell, 21 and 20 points respectively, it's going to be a tough game to win, as is. And then also, in every win the Pacers have had this series, they've always got to 30 assists. I want to say they had 30 assists by either the late third quarter or beginning of the fourth. And at that point, it was like, yeah, it's just not the Bucks' night. I really don't know. Dame had a decent game. I don't know what you could put his percentages, him being healthy. He was in a boot literally 5 days ago, missed the last two games, comes back obviously because it's game 6, do or die. I don't know. It's just tough from the very start. Obviously, you guys are missing Giannis. I will say the basketball fan in me hates that he wasn't able to play, but just thinking logically, I'm glad nobody forced Giannis to come back. I'm glad he didn't come back because I feel like something would have happened that would have made his injury worse. Because that calf injury they're real iffy, and the way he went down, just literally running from inbound ball, it was just like, don't rush him back because that something's not right. And I know it's playoffs, but something's clearly not right. But yeah, like you said, Siakam, who we were saying, it's not 2019 Siakam. He starts off very hot in the series. Then what was it? Was it game 4 or 3 where Middleton forced overtime twice, and then he ended up still blowing the game?
I think that was game 3.
Game 3, yeah. That after that one was like, that's a tough loss because you don't have your 2 star players. Middleton is really putting the team on the back. You got to find a way to win that one. At that point, I was like, it's going to be an uphill battle for the Bucks. I don't think they're going to win the series. And sure enough, Pacers finish it in 6.
It's funny because I was on your podcast and I used to play a little basketball in the day. I had an injury that kind of derailed what I was trying to do. And me and my buddy always talk. He goes, doesn't it piss you off that, oh my God, what's the point guard's name who had the big game last night? TJ McConnell. Doesn't it piss you off TJ's in the league and you're not? And I'll answer that question. Yes. Yes, it does. It pisses me off that he is in the league, but you hit the nail on the head. Him and Toppin both had over 20 points. And if that's going to happen, the Bucks have no shot.
Yeah.
But the gambler in me, already I know I'm going to take both those guys, their point total under the next game whenever that game starts, just because it's going to be a little bit inflated. A couple comments. I hate the Lakers. Lakers suck. LOL. My boy, let's make him money. Hell of a night last night, Uncle Rico. Thank you for following along. Sports facts. Middleton still got it, just needs a lower body to hold up. That's a good comment.
Yeah.
Middleton, I think he kind of showed everyone he still has it with what he did, especially not so much last night, but that game 3 and 4. I mean, he was insane, but especially game 3 with some of his shot making he was able to do. I look at it like this. The Bucks need to get rid of Pat Beverly. Let's be honest. You cannot, regardless of the BS that happened on the court, you cannot win a championship with Pat Beverly being your starting off guard, starting point guard, whatever you want to look at it. You do need a defensive guard to pair with Dame. The throwing the ball at the official was just awful. And then afterwards, to the ESPN reporter asking, do you subscribe to my podcast, and refusing to talk to her? Really? Like, really?
Stupid. Stupid.
Just idiotic. The other game last night, we saw the Knicks take out the 76ers. Thoughts on that game real quick?
Man, I just knew when New York blew Game 5, and then the whole talk because obviously Game 4, I guess they said it felt like a New York home game. So Embiid had the comments post game where he's like he's disappointing the fans. So you have Ruben and the other Sixers GM or front office buying like $2,500 tickets, giving them out to the fans. I'm just like, you're gonna do all of this, and Philly's gonna lose. Like I just can sense it in my bones. Honestly, it's just it seems like every time because all these games came down to the clutch. I think they were literally like 1 point. The Knicks scored one more point in the series than the 76ers. Every game was down to the wire. But it just seemed like every time you got in the last 2-3 minutes and the New York Knicks put up a shot and missed, out of nowhere, here comes Josh Hart, offensive rebound, kick out for an open three bucket. And it's like, you can't keep doing that because each time he does it, it's so backbreaking for the 76ers. Like all the momentum's gone. I think one time, I want to say it was Game 4. I swear they had like 6 offensive rebounds in one possession, and where they had the ball with like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. By the time the Sixers got it back, it was like 40 seconds on the clock, and it's like you've wasted a lot of your opportunities to even go back, tie, take the lead, whatever you want to call it, because you can't get an offensive rebound. And then secondly, as I think I said on the last pod you were on with us, I'm not a big fan of Tobias. I'm one of his biggest haters, to be quite honest with you. I don't like his game. I hate the fact that they paid him instead of Jimmy Butler way back when. And I was like, you played 29 minutes after saying, I think he had a comment that was like the Sixers fans would they would make fun of a crumble cookie or something like that, something stupid. And you go out and play 29 and put up 0 points in a do or die game. You can't do that. That's unacceptable. And lastly, I'll say, as much as people want to call Joel Embiid a playoff choker, I'm not here to defend that statement. For what he had to do this series and endure playing on one leg and the Bells policy stuff, I honestly thought he should have. I thought every time he was out there on the court, I thought the Sixers medical staff was in serious danger of being sued because he shouldn't have been out there. But he played his ass off. He had 39. Maxey had a off game from what he did Game 5, putting the backpack on and saving them. But yeah, man, Philly sports, they got a lot to look at, and they need to do some heavy shifting this offseason. Maybe go try to get a third star. I've heard Jimmy might be out of Miami. Maybe you can kind of reconcile that relationship. I don't know, but they got to do something else because Embiid is now 30. Maxey's an up-and-coming star. You just need one solid player next to them and some good 3-and-D guys around and to make a push. But at this point, man, I just don't know how much longer you're going to have Embiid because I feel like each year it's a worse and worse injury. Like, dude is literally falling apart at the seams, and he's still out there playing. I'm like, I can't. I don't know.
My thing, great performance last night. The game before, I thought he made some awful basketball decisions, cross-court passes, low basketball IQ decisions. Heck of a game last night. We saw Dante finally come back, and I'm a little pissed off. I can't stand Buddy Hield. Let me tell you why I can't stand Buddy Hield. Way back from the Oklahoma days, I was in a pool where it was against the spread, where you pick a team, and if they won or lost, you figure out the spread. That was what happened. There was this Final Four game where Oklahoma lost by 30, and it totally cost me. So I'm still salty about that. Last night, I had at 6.5 to 1, DiVincenzo to have the most threes in the game. He had 5. Buddy Hield went 6 for 8. And I hate Buddy Hield even more. But all kidding aside, looking at the roster, Maxey's great. They obviously need to get another wing. They have a floor spacer in Buddy Hield. There, you're right. They need to move Tobias, and they need to do something where it's almost like Embiid, you know what? Do you want to win a championship or do you want to be in the MVP conversation? Because if you want to win a championship, we have to take you down to 50 games a year.
Literally.
I mean, because that's basically the way it is. You can't have him play a full slate, that 60-min thing to try to win an award. If you really want to win a ship, we got to cut back those minutes, and we got to really focus, and we need to get a small forward. I think Maxey next year is going to take another big step forward. That three-pointer, that shot making, that 4-point play to bring the 76ers back from the dead, that game when they're down 7 late, That was some of the best ball you've ever seen. Jalen Brunson, I'm watching him right now.
Man, he's been amazing.
He's probably the closest thing to what Isaiah Thomas was back in the day watching old Isaiah footage. Just being able to someone get finished with both hands at the rim, make a 15-footer. He's not the freak athletic that Derrick Rose was, but he's, a point guard that can make shots and get to the rim and make a 15-footer floater with someone in his face. And what he's doing is absolutely insane. And to think the Mavericks could have kept him.
Man.
We have 2 games tonight, starting off with the Cleveland Cavaliers traveling down to O-Town, Orlando, to play the Magic. I have 3 plays in this game. What bets are you looking at in this game, my friend?
Okay, so first off, I'm gonna go with Orlando Magic's team total over 101.5. They've hit this both times. They're back at home. I look at this series, and I was telling my buddy Cam on the podcast the other day, I was like, I feel like this is just one where the home team always wins, but I think Orlando really figured something out in game 6 or game 5, I mean, the other night in Cleveland. The first 2 games of the series, you could tell this is a young team. They have no playoff experience. They didn't know what they were getting themselves into. They go back home, get that home crowd behind them. Also, great defensive team. Their second highest defensive rated team at home was behind Minnesota Timberwolves. They whooped Cleveland. Go back game 5, Paulo has 39. I mean, Franz Wagner, I'm not mad at the drive at the end of the game. He did have Paolo on the pick and pop at the 3-point line, but that's a hard pass to make. So I'm not going to complain about that. But I think they're going to come out, play hard. I think they're going to take this back to 7, and all the pressure in the world is going to be on Cleveland. If they keep it close, like they did game 5, and are able to pull out, I honestly think, which you'll probably agree from your previous thoughts I've heard, think Cleveland might have to let go of Bickerstaff because they're not getting better over there. And I know it's kind of been rough this year with rotations with a lot of injuries, but they got a lot of talent on that team. You can't have back-to-back first round, losing efforts in the playoffs, especially to this year Orlando Magic team, who you purposely sold a game for at the end of the season because you wanted this matchup. So, yeah, I got Orlando over 101.5 points.
All right. So when I was doing my research this morning, I never thought I'd be in this position. I took the Cleveland Cavaliers plus the 4 and plus the 150. Road teams up 3-2 last 20 years, sample size of 91 games, are up 68%. Of those 91 games, 60 have been straight up winners. We saw the Knicks do it last night. I was on the Knicks. That's a big trend telling me to do this. Besides Paulo, who else are we trusting on the Magic? They started Isaacs the first 2 games, and they went back to Wendell Carter. Carter can rebound, even though he can shoot the 3. They're not having him shoot enough. And it's almost like the way they're playing defense, it's kind of like, hey, if Wagner beats us, the younger Wagner brother, if he beats us, that's fine. We're fine with him beating us. Gary Harris is banged up. He can't hit anything. Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, I really don't trust. I don't know if the Magic, besides Paulo, can generate enough offense to keep this in it. Speaking of the Cavs, they're due for some positive shooting regression, positive offensive progression. They are a 98.9 offensive efficiency rating in the offense in the playoffs, down from 115 in the season. I expect positive shooting regression from Mitchell and Garland. Really struggled last game. Also, from what I'm reading online right now, it looks like Jarrett Allen's going to play. That's going to be another rim protector. Defense is better with them. So, look, I played the +4 and the +150. It's a big trend play for me. I hate this Cleveland team. I hate Bickerstaff. I hate Donovan Mitchell. I like this Magic team, but the gambler in me is telling me to take this. And I'm also taking PB Paulo under 24.5 points. coming off his career high in playoff points. And it was an efficient game. He only had 24 shots. It wasn't like he was jacking up a lot of shots. Efficient game. I think he's due for some shot regression. We need to remember in game 3, he had 31 points. Last game, he had 7. So the good news is we could be in a position where we win every bet because of the Magic get over their team total. Cavs win. Hey, you know what? We are winning every bet here. I will say this. If the Cavs do close this out, I advise everyone to take the Celtics off of openers, because when you look at what Cleveland did, they went from Orlando to Cleveland, back to Orlando, then they're going to have to travel up to Boston. So that's a lot of travel. If this line is anything under 8.5, I'm advising people to take the Celtics right off of openers. Next game, and it's been an interesting series, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting series. I have no idea what is going on. I have 2 player props in this game. We have the Dallas Mavericks hosting the Clippers. And what, like, in my head, what I wanted to happen was this. We saw game 1. Clippers ran 28 plays for pick and rolls, which was great because that's where Paul George and James Harden do most of their work, where they're most efficient in the pick and roll. Then Leonard comes back, and Leonard's not a pick and roll player. Everything's ISO with him. They lose both those games. They didn't even have 20 pick and roll games. I think it was like 17 and 18, or maybe those are inverted, but it wasn't over 18. Then in game 4, Leonard's out. They had 37 pick and roll plays, and that led to a lot of 3-point open looks. They shot insane for the first half, got the win. And I wanted them to win again, so then they're up 3-2, and Leonard's like, hey, I'm coming back. Then I was going to take the Mavs in the spot. Unfortunately, the Mavs played great, so I don't have a side in this play. I just have 2 player props. What are your bets in this game, my friend?
All right, so I have one future bet right on this game. Remember, I had Mavs in 6, so I would really like if the Mavs win it tonight. I also had them just winning the series straight up. So if they win tonight, I cash in both. So I would love to see that. I got one that I'm trying to pay attention to, see what the flow game, because honestly, like you said, I really don't know. You see Kawhi come back, Clippers play awful. He leaves, they start winning again. And then also it's just like, at this point, it just seems like the norm. James Harden, Paul George have a good game. Next game, they play completely terrible. Then they have a good game again. Will they come out tonight and be good? They might just do that. So I don't know if they'll keep it close. But in the second half of this series, the Mavericks have won 3 of the second halves. Clippers have won 2. Clippers have won both their second halves by 2 and 1 points. The Mavs have won theirs by, let's see, I had it written down right here, 5, 12, and then 20 points last game. If they have a second half spread of like -3.5 to the -5 range, I think I'm going to be kind of inclined to take that, depending on how the game is going. They've been opening up these third quarters playing really good. I didn't even watch game 4 from the beginning to know that they were even down 31. I had ended up tuning into the game when they were going back and forth in the fourth quarter. I had no idea they'd come back from 31. So that was a little shocker to me. But yeah, man, I don't have really anything on the game itself. I have a parlay bet of props in it. But yeah, I would really just want Mavs to win so I can win my future bets and cash out there.
My 2 bets in this. You mentioned James Harden. I went over 19.5 points.
Yeah.
Gone over 4 or 5 games, averaging 22.2 points per game. Take out the last game where he really struggled, as you mentioned, 26 points per game. He was 2 of 12 from the floor, 1 of 7 from 3-point lane. He's due for some positive shooting regression. No Leonard means more pick and roll where he is more efficient. I expect the bounce back spot. So I played Harden over the 19.5. My other one, I went Lively over 13.5 points in rebounds. This has been a bet that's hit. I've hit the last 2 games. He's gone over 4 or 5 games in the series. He didn't go over the first game. He's averaging 14.2 points in rebounds per game this series. Last 4 games, not counting the one he didn't go over, that's up to 16. And the reason that's happening is Gafford's unplayable right now. This isn't a Gafford series. If they get through this, and they play the Thunder, that's a Gafford series. Gafford's going to be more effective. But with the action that the Cliffords run, Gafford just gets lost on defense. And that's why we're seeing who's number 42. Keeber shooting, playing more because he can stretch the floor, and Lively playing more because he can switch and defend the rim, but he can also switch and guard someone on the perimeter. So I played the over 13.5. It's gone up a full point. Last couple of games, it's been 12.5. So I did Lively over 13.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Now we're going to come up. We're going to add the old parlay play to the stage. What I did here is I just did Paulo under the 24.5 points. I got a little freaky, dude. I got a little freaky, man. I ticked Harden up to over 23.5 points. I ticked Lively up over to 15.5. I mean, look, dude, I'm getting a 10x return on that. You can't complain about that at all. That's the one I'm going to do, my friend. What do you have a cooking for us? So I can I'll pull yours up right here. Why don't you tell me which ones you're looking at?
So mine are solely in this Clippers Mavericks game. I'm gonna go Derek Jones over 1.5 3-pointers made. He's made 2 the last 2 games. They're at home, game 6. Role players. Usually, if you're gonna clinch and win this game, usually it's gonna be from your role players. Having some of their better games behind the home crowd. I'm gonna go Kyrie over 24.5.
Did you have over 1.5 or over 1.5?
Over 1.5.
All right, boom.
And then I'm going to go Kyrie over 24.5 points. Luka, he's been dealing with a knee or leg injury, and I know he's been sick. So he's felt like he's been letting Kyrie down. Obviously, game 5, he had a great game. I think game 6 back at home, going to look more at Kyrie kind of taking this game over a bit down the stretch, dominating. So I got him over 24.5 points. And then I'm actually adding Mason Plumlee. I don't know if it's available on there, but I took his PRA down to 6.5, so I just need 7 PRA. His minutes have ticked up because the small ball lineup that the Mavericks use with the Lively, Zubac is kind of getting stuck in no man's land. So Plumlee went from playing 10 minutes the first couple games to now 14 and 16 the last 2 games. When he averages between 15 and 20 minutes per game, he's getting 5 points, 5 rebounds. So add the assists in there too if he does miraculously, get 1 or 2 assists. I think that's something he can easily hit if he's going to get those type of minutes tonight. But that would be my 3-man parlay for tonight, Mavericks Clippers.
Bryce, I'd like to thank you for coming on, taking time out of your schedule to talk a little NBA. Are we going to get any game 7s?
I think
Are we going to get 1 or just 2?
I think we're getting 1, and I think it's going to be the Cleveland and Magic series. So that's another. So maybe, hopefully, we can still win. If the Cavaliers cover the plus 4.5, I won't be mad at it. But I do have a little mini two-game ML. Magic Mavericks winning. Of course, Mavericks kind of triple dip if they can get this game 6 win for my future bets, and then Magic. I just think they're back home. Think they're playing much better. They know, this is playoff basketball. They've gotten into a groove. And I want to believe in Cleveland because I was actually a fan when they got Donovan Mitchell. But at the same time, Cleveland has been one of my worst teams to bet on over the last couple of years. And I just don't want them to burn me again by me being on their side. So I'm going to try to fade them. And they can potentially still burn me as they usually do. But yeah, I got Magic and Mavericks win tonight. And I think that one will be game 7. And then it's a coin flip. I think Cleveland wins it. Like I said, I think it's a series where the home teams just win. But hey, Magic might be able to pull some magic and get the dub.
Let's just think about that out loud for a second. Cleveland loses. Mitchell's probably gone. He demands a trade.
Oh yeah.
Obviously the 2-headed big man of Jarrett Allen and Mobley, you probably want to move on for that. You're probably going to move Jarrett Allen. So that means you're going to probably start a rebuild with Garland and Mobley being your 2 cornerstones. And coaching-wise, where do you go? You can't have Bickerstaff stay after losing to the Knicks and then losing to the Magic.
Yeah.
Especially with them tanking the game to play the Magic, as you said. Like, I don't even know how that would look, where Allen would end up. Mitchell, I'm guessing he would go to New York. By New York, I mean Brooklyn. I just don't know, man. It's crazy to think, like, we're looking at the NBA now, and at the beginning of the season, if I were to told you, hey, first round, Heat, 76ers, and Bucks are all out, you would have said, dude, you're crazy as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what happened. So NBA, the world can change fast. Bryce, I'd like to thank you for coming on, talking some NBA. You're going to be back tomorrow. We have one game we're going to preview tomorrow with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. Before I let you go, why don't you tell everyone where they can find your podcast, your YouTube channel, and the videos you have coming out on your YouTube channel?
So if you look at my @name in the corner of my screen, @INeeeeedSportsPod, I Need It Sports Pod. You can find us by that on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Just add an underscore at the end of pod. And like I said, we do basically the same thing: bets, talk about the games, reactions, all of that. Been going pretty good. I did just have to eat a lot of crow in the last episode we recorded because, as you know, I was very pro Suns in that series, and they got completely mollywopped by the Timberwolves. And now I mean, I know they were playing the Suns, and the Suns didn't look good, and maybe the Nuggets, Lakers with their history, that's why those games were tougher. But I think I'm very inclined to take the Minnesota. The Minnesota Timberwolves might make a run at this thing this year because I knew Anthony Edwards was good, but man, he's great.
He's taking it
At
to a new level.
22, he's taking it to a new level. I think in the 15 playoff games he's played in his career, he has 8 30-point games, and a couple of those are 40 balls now. He had 40 in the sweep of Phoenix the other night. So I'm like, man, I thought he would, go through some lumps because he's still young, but he's kind of taking the throne, and it's right there for the taking. You beat the Nuggets, the defending champs, and then who knows who it could be a combination of OKC, Dallas, LA. Man, I think they handle any of them with their defense, and then you get the Celtics probably without Porzingis, maybe. Yeah. Man, everything could fall into place for them right now.
Now, let me ask you one question before I let you go. Is there a world where the Nuggets or Celtics don't win this?
Yes. I didn't think so coming into it, but from what I've seen with the Minnesota Timberwolves, if Nickeil Alexander-Walker is hooping like he did, where he's making threes consistently, Jaden McDaniels is locking down whoever the best offensive player is while he's also hitting his shots. Rudy Gobert was doing pretty good for his standards on offense, and he was locking down the paint. Cat, I think, is only going to be able to get better with more game reps since he's been out injury. Now he gets a whole week of rest with that knee. He's got a series under his belt. And then Anthony Edwards, he's looking like the young prodigy right now. We had this argument the other day where we were saying, like, who's the best young player in the league? Is it going to be Tatum? Is it going to be Shea? And, like, it's up for the grabs because that's basically what the NBA has been trying to push for the last couple of years. Like, who's going to take the throne next? And it might very well just be Ant.
The best thing you said in that sentence was up to his standard.
Yeah, up to his
That was a prime backhanded comment at Gobert, and I love it. Bryce, I'm looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. I always enjoy when you and I can talk some shop. Make sure to give him a follow. Check out his videos. Listen to his podcast. I always listen when I am on the treadmill. Make sure to check it out. And Bryce and I will be back at high noon Eastern tomorrow. We'll talk then, my friend.
Peace.